Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to make these three pretty cards, and the features on the front of each of these cards are three napkins, and I'm going to show you those napkins now. So as you can see, there, there, there it is, but that's the left and the right side of it. And there's this one here, which is this one here. So stay tuned, I'll give you all the measurements. Now each of these napkins have been embossed, and if you have a close look here, you can see like an embossed pattern all over each of these napkins. Give you a bit of texture on the front of your card. I've used a 3D embossing plate on each one. I'm hoping you can see that, to give it a slightly raised look and a bit more interest. And these napkins come from NinnysNapkins, and if you have a look at the description below, you will be able to see a link to her page, a link to her shop, and a discount code. So if you use that discount code on your first order, you'll be able to receive a discount as well. I've chosen these three napkins to use today. This one's got a different picture on each side there, so half and half, that's so I can get two cards just from those two. And then this is an all over pattern, which is really beautiful and has gold through it. I like the blues and the golds together. And this is it's a daintier pattern in black and pink. So that is very pretty too. First of all, make sure you get all the backing off your napkin. So that we've only got one layer left. And then we're going to cover this with this. Which is double-sided tape. So that it's completely covered. If you've got a reasonably sized piece left, don't throw it away. Stick it back on there for later. Now, what we're going to do is, now that that's all down, we'll peel this off and stick it to the back of the napkin. So put the napkin picture side down, and then we stick this on like that. And now we're going to take it to the big shot. I'll take off this excess because it's sticky and I don't want it to upset what's going on there. And we'll put this in the embossing folder and put it through the big shot. But first of all, I need to spray this to soften the cardboard so that it will take on the molded shape. And I'll be back in a minute. Now that it's been put through, as you can see, it's got quite a pattern there, and on the front, nice raised pattern. Now these two are ready to cut. I've, as you've seen before, I've embossed them so that there's a nice embossing on them. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to make them into cards. Now you can make up your cards by just following directions, or you can work it out for yourself, and it's very, very easy to do. So with this one, it was quite big, so I had to cut it down to fit the biggest piece of paper. And if I cut a 12 by 12 or 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter square piece of scrapbooking paper in half, it will be 6 inches that way and 12 inches that way, or 15 centimeters that way and 30 centimeters that way. And when I fold that in half, I get a square that is 6 inches by 6 inches, or 15 by 15 centimeters. Now if I'm going to make a narrow border, then I'm going to make this one 5 3/4 inches, or 14.5 centimeters. I go down either 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 centimeter. So if I go down 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 centimeter again, I'm going down to 5 1/2 inches or 14 centimeters. And if I do the same again, I'm going down to 5 1/4 inches or 13.5 centimeters. So you can cut it down if you've got enough to cut, but this one I've gone up from the smallest one up because I can make the card the right size for this, whatever size I make it, because it's only little. But when you've got a big picture, you might have to cut the picture down to fit the card, depending on how many layers you want to be behind it. It could be the full size of the card and have no layers behind it too, so it's really up to you how you go. This little card, I didn't want to cut this picture down any smaller than it was, and because it's only little, I can actually make a card big enough to fit it just with scrapbooking paper. I don't have to put any joins in it. So what I did is I cut this down to the size I wanted it, and it turned out at 4 1/2 inches by 4 1/2 inches, or in centimeters 11.5 by 11.5. So then I wanted a wider border this time. If you have a look at this, it's much wider than those borders there, if you can see that. So I've gone up a whole centimetre from 11 1/2 to 12 1/2, and in inches I've gone up a 1/2 inch from 4 1/2 to 5 1/2 inches. This is 4 1/2, that's 5 1/2 inches. So it gives me a 1/4 of an inch on either side, okay, or 1/2 centimetre on either side. So it's a much wider border. And then I've gone up again, so I've gone up to 5 inches. I've got a 5-inch square, but to get a 5-inch square I have to go 5 inches by 10 inches to get the card. And in centimeters I've gone up from 13.5 by 27 centimeters. to get the card. So that's 13.5 by 27, which gives me a 13.5 by 13.5 centimetre card. So you can work your way up, you can work your way down, and you can work out your own designs. As far as how many layers you want behind it, and how big a layer you want behind it, just by adding either a half an inch, a quarter of an inch, a half a centimetre, or a whole centimetre, going either up or down to get your squares. So you don't really need other people's measurements. You just work it out for yourself if you can. This is the first one, and I've cut it to 12 by 12 centimetres. I've then cut a piece of black, 12.5 by 12.5 centimetres, some pink, 13 by 13, and then the card is 13.5 by 27 centimetres in green. And then I've cut another piece, 12.5 by 12.5 centimetres of white to go inside, and there was some leftover scrap, so I'm just going to have that down the side there just to make the inside more interesting. I'm going to show you a little trick when putting on mounting tape. This has already been glued down, but with mounting tape, what I've done is I've taken the backing off that one only to get this into position first. And if I drop it down, it's not touching because the backing on the tape is lower than the bit that's been peeled off. So I can get that into position first, then push it down in the middle so it doesn't move, and then just lift up each of the corners and peel off the excess, and it's not going to move on me. Nice and easy. This little one I've mounted on white, black, and then craft coloured card, and I have made the little picture 9.5 by 12.5 centimetres, or 3 3¾ by 5 inches. Now the white I have made 10 by 13 centimetres, or 4 by 5¼ inches. The black I have made 10.5 by 13.5 centimetres, or 4¼ by 5½ inches. And the actual note card itself I have cut 22 centimetres by 14 centimetres, or 9 inches by 5¾ inches. Now inside I just cut 2 pieces of card that fitted the height, and which was 5¾ inches, and I just brought it in. I mean, you could have brought it in all the way to the center if you wanted. I just wanted a little panel in the middle. That's 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So 10 centimeters and 4 inches by 14 centimeters or 5¾ inches for the inside, just 2 of those. And then I put the brads through there as well. Now here are the finished napkins. I've actually put a little brad, a white brad in the corner of each of those there, and I've put a little metallic copper coloured diamond shaped brad. Well, they were square brads. I turned them on the diamond in the corner of each of that one. I've used this punch for the scalloped edges. I've used this oval punch for the inside edges on those, and I will put my greeting on when I decide what the card's going to be used for. This one I've made into a note card, so I've actually just put white paper inside so that you can just write a little note with that one. So that's how they came up, and I hope you enjoyed that. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos.